if you look deeply, see, in the digital world, everything is a message. Alice and Bob wants to talk to each other. There are 5 tenets that are required.
Why collaboration is so crucial in cybersecurity R&D going forward?
The lock pickers are all across the globe, and they are collaborating as well.
So you work very closely with India's defense and
Sure.
critical infrastructure ecosystem. What has that experience been like?
Defense or critical establishments wants to onboard you. They have to check your credibility.
Absolutely.
And whether you are capable of delivering that.
Can you explain what exactly is quantum safe cybersecurity?
Our cybersecurity is right now depending on mathematically hard problems. Okay? When you access a website today, what you do is you basically type HTTPS, right? And then the website comes. What does it ensure? It ensures that the data which is originating from the browser, it is reaching to the server in the confidential fashion.
What would you advise to any of the upcoming startups or any of the young bloods who are looking into working very seriously in this space?
See, it is extremely important to basically build a foundation.
Hi everyone, I'm Mohit Sharma and welcome to CyberSuraksha Dialogues, a podcast by Veloxx Media, a dynamic knowledge sharing platform committed to fostering learning, innovation, and collaboration across industries. At Veloxx Media, we believe that knowledge is most powerful when shared. And through this series, we bring together voices that are shaping the future of cybersecurity. CyberSuraksha Dialogues is a podcast series that will feature conversations with policymakers, industry leaders, and technology experts who are redefining how we secure our digital world. From data protection and AI governance to cryptography and cyber resilience to build a secure digital Bharat. In today's episode, we are joined by Mr. Nilesh Dhande, CEO and co-founder FortyTwo Labs, as we explore quantum safe India, redefining digital trust in the cyber age. Without a further ado, I'll pass on the dais to Mr. Nilesh to give us a little bit more insight into FortyTwo Labs, and we'll take up the discussion from there. Mr. Nilesh,
Thank you so
welcome.
much. So it is easier to tell the story, right? When you are explaining what FortyTwo Labs does. So our journey started around in 2016, right? And the way it started, we happened to meet late Mr. Manohar Parrikarji in Pune,
Wow.
right? And I was just out from my last company. We were also working into cybersecurity back then. And he said that, what do you need, Nilesh, right? In terms of proliferating the innovations indigenously. We said, sir, problem statement, and if we solve that problem statement, we need a patient ear, right?
That's right.
So he connected us with a department called as an IDS. IDS stands for Integrated Defense Services. You can imagine them like an SI organization, Systems Integration Organization, who are supposed to fulfill the requirements of Army, Navy, and Air Force. Okay. We got a very simple problem statement. The problem statement was to basically build a quantum safe messaging. So whatever you are going to hear today on FortyTwo Labs, the genesis of that was in that problem statement, to create a quantum safe messaging for our intelligence forces that are there, right? So there were two things inside this. One is, of course, it has to be quantum safe, which means that even if the adversary has unbounded computational power, unlimited amount of computational power, they should not be able to break your security, right? And the second part is, of course, the messaging part of it, right? So that is where we basically started as a FortyTwo Labs. One thing led to another, and what we realized quickly is, even if the problem statement looks so simple, right? The secure messaging part of it.
Yep.
We every day do Telegram, WhatsApp, and
Having
whatnot.
encryption and all that available.
Absolutely correct. But if you look deeply, see, in the digital world, everything is a message, a data packet.
That's correct.
When Alice and Bob, as we call it, the cryptographers call, right? Alice and Bob wants to talk to each other. There are 5 tenets that are required. Okay. The first is that unless and until the identity and authentication is established, the communication should not start. Second is, whatever they are talking should be confidential, right? Nobody else should be part of that. Third is the integrity. See, in the internet, you cannot see eye to eye.
That's right.
That means the message that you are transferring, you don't know whether that message will reach to the same shape and form to the other party. Integrity.
Without being copied.
Absolutely correct. Fourth thing is non-repudiation. What is it? Provability. See, trust can be only established when the message can be proven in a court of law. Conscious use of the word court of law.
Code of law.
Right?
That's right.
And lastly, the privacy part of it. Privacy means the message should remain private forever till Alice and Bob agrees that the message should be shared outside.
Right.
Okay. When we looked at the contemporary technologies, we quickly realized for addressing all of these 5 things, you actually need different technologies altogether, right? And our job was to kind of build a ground-up innovation. So that's where our cryptographers worked, and we basically came out with 3 algorithms, which are now patented, by the way, patented in the India, and 2 patents we also have received in the US. Based on these 3 patents, and we can talk more about it at a later point of time, we actually created a platform where any Alice or any Bob could be able to talk to each other. And why is the word any? Any Alice? Because see, in the internet, you could be, the Alice and Bob could be anybody. It could be a device,
Correct.
right? It could be a human. It could be an enterprise. It could be an application or an API.
That's right.
Those guys are transferring the messages part of
On
it.
themselves, yeah, without
Perfect.
any human intervention.
Right? So that was the foundational model that we have evolved. And based on that, we kind of created a platform, which is a Pi control platform. Okay. Subsequent to that, the journey was not still done. Then they said, okay, you have done it fantastically. Now, who will validate this?
Right.
Right? So that's when they pointed us to various entities, including the cryptographic analysis was done in RC Bose Institute of Cryptography. IIT Chennai, under Professor Kamakoti, the black box testing was conducted. DRDO, SAG Lab did the white box testing. Now, I'm very proud to tell you that the system is getting used by our intelligence forces,
Oh, wow.
right? And it is all deployed. We also have received the award from Honorable Raksha Mantri for our contribution.
That's great.
Okay.
That's great.
So that's how the story went. But then we started saying that now this has a commercial potential into a civilian domain as well, right? Because Alice and Bob's exist there as well.
Everywhere.
So that is when the banks started picking it up, right? So we basically then started implementing the same system into the banks as well. So as on date today, we have more than 26 million users across 260 plus applications across different geographies, including India, Hong Kong, Singapore, UK, and Canada, right? So those are the geographies where multitudes of use cases, because see, the messaging everybody transmits, and you need to secure those messages. So the possibilities virtually becomes limitless. And now we are also working with our partner organizations, so where our partners can actually build the quantum safe applications by design, right? So that has been a FortyTwo Labs journey, right, so far.
You've evolved quite a lot as well.
Absolutely.
I'm sure. And you know, by the introduction that you've given, I can foresee that this discussion is going to be very interesting because the space is very interesting.
Absolutely.
Right? Perfect. We'll quickly jump into the discussion,
Sure.
Nilesh ji. So FortyTwo Labs works in solving the digital identity crisis, right? Can you help us understand what kind of crisis that we are facing today in this space, and how FortyTwo Labs is solving that crisis?
Fantastic, amazing question. See, the most prestigious event that happens in the security world, okay, one of the most prestigious event is the RSA event that happens in the US, in the Valley, typically, right? If you look at that event in, let's say, 2006, right, or 2005, back then, and if you look at the event of last year that happened, what was the top question? How do we secure our identities? Okay. Now we have made so much of an advancement into cybersecurity, but that problem still exists.
Correct.
Okay, so why is that? See, let me ask you a question. See, simple question, what is your digital identity today? What do you think that your digital identity is today? Can you think about an answer?
I think we use so many social media platforms.
Perfect.
We have all of our information gone into the
Perfect.
web space already. And I
Yeah.
think it's more than a decade that, you know, we do exist simultaneously online as well.
Absolutely. Very apt answer, right? Social media platforms, when you are part of an employer organization, you use identifiers given by them.
Right.
When you talk to the government gives also an identifier like a social security number and Aadhaar number, right? If you go to the income tax department, they will assign you a PAN number. You have a mobile number, you have an email address, you have a LinkedIn handle, you have a Facebook. So typically, every human today carries more than 30 identifiers.
Easily. Very easily.
Now, using these identifiers, we identify with the service provider saying, boss, Google, take my Gmail ID, let me inside. Right? You go to the Facebook, you're saying, this is my Facebook ID, let me inside.
Right.
Okay? The problem exists in the foundational concept, how the identities are evolved. right? Identities are designed as an identifier. What is it? And by nature, it is public and static. Two important words, public and static. Okay? What do you mean by, when I say public, I own my own volition, I share my handles with everybody, right?
That's right.
And static, it typically never changes, right? That means attacker already knows it.
Correct.
Okay? That means that to make it stronger, you need to do something else. So that is where the password policy comes. You know how complex it is to set up a password now, right? They'll say, okay, one capital letter, one small letter, one special character,
All
you
those
stand on your
recommendations have
head,
come in.
you do all of this,
Right.
right? So it becomes complex.
That's right.
But the core foundational problem actually remains. So when we were designing this messaging problem, right, we say that identity is the first to attack, because who you are transmitting the message to, unless and until you have established in a tamper-proof fashion, you would not have solved that problem.
Correct.
Okay. Now, having said that, for our cybersecurity enthusiasts out there, see, there are three foundational models in identity. The first model is the static model, where the user ID password base.
Correct.
The second model is the cryptography based, which is a PKI, the certificates that we use, right? The public key cryptography, as they call it. And the third model is the blockchain based, the self-sovereign identity. And it is a beautiful model. Why? Because as a Nilesh, I can create my own identity and then start participating. That means the privacy question kind of goes for a toss, goes away.
It's still considered to be secure.
Still considered to be secure. However, the problem is the regulation, right? You cannot regulate blockchain. So that cannot be applied. You cannot distribute the certificates to all of these people that are there. So second problem, you have logistic problem. And that is why the world has latched onto the first one, user ID password base, right? That is where we basically started thinking, saying there has to be an innovation into this area of an identity. Okay. Now let me give you a simple analogy, how we thought about it. Okay. We call it I am Nilesh, I am this and all that. It originates from the Sanskrit word called as aham. Okay. So when you ask me a question saying, Nilesh, who are you? Okay. I will tell you series of things, right?
Right.
Saying I did my education here, I did this company, that company, right? And then that's how. So philosophically speaking, I am a sum total of all of my experiences that are there. What is the beautiful thing about physical world identity? It cannot be stolen. Why? No, not because of your biometrics. Biometrics can be replicated, by the way.
Yeah.
But what I'm carrying inside my head today, that cannot be stolen, right? Because that is a sum total of all of my experiences. Plus, it is always changing. So even if I share today, tomorrow, because of this interaction, your identity and my identity will have changed.
Definitely.
So that is our first innovation. Identity as a sequence of tamper-proof event over a time dimension, and you can start putting the events together, right? That is what we basically call as a tamper-proof dynamic digital identity, IAM. So that is our core contribution as far as the identity model is concerned. And that's our first patent as well, by the way.
That's really deep, and I think that's going to be an important element as well as we'll move along into the cyberspace.
Absolutely
and as
correct.
we'll open up ourselves to this space more and more.
Absolutely correct.
I think what you mentioned, that right now on an average a person has 30 digital identities. I think that number is going to shoot up.
Absolutely
considering how the Gen Z is engaging with the online space.
Absolutely
right?
correct. Absolutely
Great.
correct.
Let's move on to another. I would say it's very interesting term. The quantum word in itself, you know, kind of raises a lot of interest.
Yeah.
So for the benefit of our audience,
Sure.
Nilesh, can you explain what exactly is quantum safe cybersecurity?
Sure.
And why does it matter right now, even before large scale quantum computing is yet to arrive? Right.
Yeah. So before that, let us just spend a moment on understanding what the quantum computer is.
Absolutely.
Right? And what it basically brings to the table.
Correct.
Quantum computing is going to do great things for humanity, by the way, right? Quantum material science, the drug discoveries, which takes umpteen number of years, it can be squeezed down, right? There could be new innovations in quantum sensing, which can do phenomenal things for borders and surveillances as well. However, it is also going to do a bad thing, okay? To understand the power of a quantum computer, here is how I understand, basically make them understand to the layman. See, earlier we used to use a 32-bit machine,
Right.
the processor part of it. Then it got upgrade it to
Upgrade it
64
64
bit.
bit.
So you can do double power, right?
Correct.
You can do 64-bit parallel processing on that.
Right.
If you have a 64 qubit of a quantum computer, you can do 2 raised to the power 64 operations, or those many states you can maintain.
Really?
It translates into some 16,000 crore.
Wow.
Right? Those many states are available for you doing for your computation part of it. Right? So that is the power that brings to the table. So with this, you can also solve a very hard mathematical problems.
Correct.
Okay. Now, our cybersecurity is right now depending on mathematically hard problems. Okay. When you access a website today, what you do is you basically type HTTPS, right? And then the website comes. What does it ensure? It ensures that the data which is originating from the browser, it is reaching to the server in the confidential fashion, right? And what is at the back? What is at the back happening? There is a cryptography that is happening. There is a mathematics that is happening there,
Right.
okay? And that is a traditional mathematics. So what happened is 1984, there is a scientist by the name of Shor who came out with an algorithm. And with this algorithm, he has proven that if there is a sufficiently large quantum computer that is available, right, you can actually break this mathematics. What does it mean?
Interesting.
And by the way, this mathematics between the browser and server that I told you is not only for the browsers, okay, it is applicable everywhere. When the devices wants to communicate, when your connected car is there, right, when the APIs are there, the mobile application, the banking application, right, even the defense application.
That's correct.
That means the implications are nightmarish in that sense.
Indeed.
Right? So that is where basically you need to now think about a newer way to protect yourself.
Correct.
Okay. So for newer way to protect yourself in the quantum communication domain, you have an area called as a post-quantum cryptography, as it sounds to your ear, right? What is post-quantum cryptography? The cryptography which will exist, okay, or which will protect you even when the quantum computers are there, okay?
Okay.
And that's the math. That is the new type of a mathematics that is needed to be proliferated across, okay? Second question that is there always comes saying, why do you need to worry right now? Well, when the quantum computer
Exactly.
comes, then
It's
at that
few
point of time.
few years away.
Okay, let me ask you a question. See, you have deployed a lock on your home, okay?
Right.
And somebody comes and tell you, saying this lock potentially can be broken, right? What will you do? Will you wait for that lock to get broken?
First,
or will
would
you change your lock?
upgrade it?
It is a
update
very
it
simple thing.
right away.
Although the jury is still out there saying when it is going to happen, when the lock will get broken. But I do believe that because of the implications of quantum computing on the security, it is important to start thinking about changing of the lock. And it is not simple as changing the lock on the door, because this lock is present everywhere, right?
Correct.
In every interaction that is
Correct.
there, right? So that is why it is critical to think about it right now.
Nilesh, FortyTwo Labs recently received a US patent for its dynamic digital identity technology. So I think many congratulations to you.
Thank
and
you
the
so
team.
much.
Could you unpack how it works and what makes it so different from the traditional authentication systems which are there right now?
Sure. See, identity and authentication are always should be tightly coupled with each other.
Agreed. Yeah.
The very objective of an identity is to represent a digital entity into a physical entity into a digital world. And the entity could be anything, as we discussed earlier, right? Applications, APIs, humans, enterprises that are there. The best way to represent an entity is to basically present the entire attribute set of an entity, right? Only then you can say, otherwise identifiers can be replicated.
That's right.
Email addresses can be changed, mobile numbers can be changed, right? Anything can be changed. That is what we basically bring to the table, saying you can combine multiple attributes together, right? Not only that, even the significant events that happened in your life, like a marriage. Marriage is an event which defines you, right? That also kind of goes inside that. Second thing is, identity has to be holistic. You cannot just think about humans, right? So let's take an example. When you are transacting with your bank today, you are using your mobile app to transact with the bank. How many identities are involved? A human identity, a app identity, a device from which you are discussing, the APIs which are going back and forth, the server, the bank server which is out there. These are the identities that are there. Okay. Unfortunately, the way identities were designed into the previous world, you actually give different identities to everybody and maintain that into a disparate different systems. Okay. And any one system gets broken, you end up basically breaking the entire digital chain. Okay. That is our specialty. We deliver identity to everything and everybody. It is a true representation of who you are based on your attributes. Further to that, we also ensure as a part of this identity that there is a mutual authentication. Okay. I know that there's a question mark on mutual. Let me explain that. Okay. So it is not enough to basically just present my Aadhaar ID to you, right?
That's right.
I will also ask saying, show me something about yourself as well.
Correct.
That is mutual. But when you go and talk to the bank, when you access the browser, you say that user ID, this is my user ID password. Please come, let me come inside.
Let me come in.
There is no way to authenticate the bank. And that's why the phishing attack happens, right?
Yes.
Where you get an email and you end up clicking on the link and submitting the data.
Right.
That's what we have done foundationally inside an identity, where we have built in the mutual authentication as well, right? For everything and everybody. Okay, so that you can actually start a secure communication between different parties.
Before the data pack is shared, basically.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
That's really excellent.
Yeah.
Great. And now, Nilesh, your organization speaks about open innovation and co-innovation.
Fantastic.
Could you tell us what this means at FortyTwo Labs and why collaboration is so crucial in cybersecurity R&D going forward?
Perfect. See, this is a evolving field always, right? So there are lock pickers, right, who will basically acquire newer and newer skills, and so that the lock makers also have to acquire newer and newer skills. The lock pickers are all across the globe, and they are collaborating as well, by the way, right? In terms of new ways of hacking into something. And that's where the lock makers have to basically collaborate as well. Okay. Having said that, academically, see, as I told you, cybersecurity is built on the trust foundation, and it is basically built onto the mathematics part of it. That means you have to end up talking to the mathematicians.
Correct.
Now cybersecurity has gone beyond, and you're saying that we are going to bring quantum part of it. So the quantum physicists get involved inside that. Then you have to go to the practitioners and say, are these really problems that you are facing? The CISOs and the CIOs kind of get involved, right? And then you can go to basically the newbie saying, are there any innovation ideas that you may have? Combine all of this. So you have academicians, you have the industry that is there, right? And then you have the innovators. If you can combine and stitch this together, right, I think that you can actually build a very vibrant ecosystem of a cybersecurity innovation that is there. And that is our motto, that is our try. So far we have cemented a relationship with IIT Kanpur. We are in discussion with IIT Mumbai as well, right, for doing those collaboration. Of course, back then we also have a collaboration with Army Institute of Technology to look at the defense problems that are there. And this actually helps both the ways, right? Not only we are getting something, but they are also getting the industry perspective and the perspective of live projects, so that the CVs of the people, they actually get more marketable, right?
Before they
more
even come to the
Absolutely
marketplace.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Nilesh, the next question is kind of very interesting to me as well, right? So you work very closely with India's defense and critical infrastructure ecosystem. Firstly, what has that experience been like? And what lessons has it offered for securing a large-scale mission-critical networks for you?
So unlike the perception out there, right, that it is extremely difficult to work, okay, we actually found it a little bit contrary. Of course, it is a little difficult, but it is for the right reason as well,
okay,
right? When defense or critical establishments wants to onboard you, right, they have to check your credibility and whether you are capable of delivering that. And that's why probably the procurement cycles, the evaluation cycles are longer. The realization actually came a little late for me. Okay. Earlier, I also used to cry saying, boss, you are taking so much amount of time and I have to feed my folks and all of that.
But then you became patient.
Then we became patient. Then we understood.
You understood, yeah.
Why the other person is taking time, because he wants to do the entire due diligence.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And only then onboard yourself, because you are delivering a critical systems to them.
Absolutely
Okay.
right.
Now, from the scale and the criticality perspective, I won't say that you have to give more than 100%. Of course, you have to give 100% part of it. But the due diligence that you will do for delivering a security system for, let's say, a civilian organization, as compared to the defense establishment that is there, the sensitivity and criticality is so much amount of more that you actually have to run multiple amount of QA cycles,
Right.
multiple amount of VAPT cycles, multiple amount of performance testing cycles, and only then you can actually make the delivery, a right delivery to the defense, and they really appreciate that. Okay, so and because of this thing, I do believe that there is a lot of improvement that has happened
Sure.
back home as well in my team, so that when we now go with the delivery to them, right, we are more than 90% sure that our delivery will get accepted in the right time, and that we also take pride as well, right, that we are actually securing some critical infrastructure of a nation.
Right, right.
Okay.
You get clarity what really matters to them,
Absolutely
and I think that helps with when you deal with the private sector as well, right?
That is
because I
correct.
think
Absolutely
it's very significant, and it's very in detail and in depth kind of a learning that you get while working with any public space, public entities, right?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Right.
Perfect, perfect.
Right.
I think one of the last questions,
Sure.
Nilesh,
Sure.
it's often quoted that data privacy and security are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
One, would you agree? And second, how do you see that balance shifting with new regulations and new technology coming into the place?
Yeah. I agree with it. Okay. Although these two things are seen separately.
Yeah.
When we think about on privacy, we only think about personally identifiable information, the PI data. Actually, it is not. Okay. Let us talk about the WhatsApp hack, the Pegasus hack
Right.
that has
Yes.
happened, right? It has nothing to do with the PI data, does it? It doesn't, right?
Okay.
Because two parties are conversing and somebody steals that information. When somebody steals that information is stolen without a consent of the parties that are
right.
involved. Okay? Consent is the foundation of a privacy. Okay?
100%.
Now, consent also has to be backed by something called as a provability. Right? So consent cannot be a one word. Consent always has to be two word. Provable consent. So unless and until there is a provable consent that is there, the data which two parties are interacting should not be shared outside. Okay.
Right.
Now how do we marry the data security with the privacy? See, as I told you, Alice and Bob could be anybody. And if in the context of human, when the Alice and Bob are talking to each other, that conversation, unless and until both of them provably agree, cannot be opened even by the intermediary. Okay? Intermediary like your email servers or WhatsApp servers or
Right.
all those.
Right.
Cannot be opened. So when I say cannot be opened, that means you need to deploy some kind of an security on top, some kind of an encryption on top of it. Okay? So, and for data security, what do we use? We use encryption. That is why basically these two are extremely critical, and it actually goes into the hand-on hand. I forgot about the second question. Can you
Do
just
you
repeat
think
it?
the balance is now shifting as you see new technology coming into the place?
I do believe, because see, there is a new area that is emerging, very, very interesting area, by the way, for all of us. It is called something called as a homomorphic encryption. Don't worry about the jargon part of it.
Yeah.
What does it mean? It means that, see, as on date today, you spoken earlier, right? My identity is everywhere. The Facebook has my data, the
Correct.
Google has that data, and everybody. What if there is a mechanism that whatever data that they are storing can be encrypted, okay, and only you have a control on top of it. Okay? And when they want to do an analytics on that, to provide you a personalized service, they don't have to unpack the data, right?
Okay.
You can still do the operations on the encrypted confidential data. That means no data will basically get out there. AI engines can run on that encrypted data. So the boundaries are thinning between the data security and the data
And the
privacy.
privacy.
Okay, and I think soon we will basically get there.
Wow. Great, Nilesh. I think it was really quite an insightful discussion. But before we leave you.
Sure.
You've been a veteran in this industry, and you did mention that our own identity is a combination of a lot of factors,
Yeah.
which, the events and the experiences that we gain during our life cycle. So you as an expert, as a veteran in this space of cybersecurity, what would you advise to any of the upcoming startups or any of the young bloods who are looking into working very seriously in this space? How should they equip themselves with the latest technologies, latest concerns which are coming up in the industry, be it public or private? What will be your inputs, for them?
Great. Excellent question. And that's why basically I tell my students as well, I go and teach as well at certain institutes. People get jazzed with the buzzwords. Artificial intelligence, we are going to do an intelligent threat monitoring, right? Quantum computing, we are going to build a post-quantum cryptography, right? And all of that. But at the base of it, see, it is extremely important to basically build a foundation.
Correct.
Okay? As we have learned in our past, that when you want to learn mathematics, you start from 1, 2, and then you go to quadratic equation.
That's
and
right.
so on. That's why it is important to basically understand the basics. What is the basic means? Let me give you a path to our friends who are listening here, right? See, when the computer started, computer was standalone.
Right.
Then people came and then they say that, okay, now the computers will talk to other computer,
Networking.
right? So that happened in the LAN environment, a closed environment. Then they say that since these systems are there, let me put an identity on top of it so that I can identify who has done what and you have a right access.
Yeah.
Then the internet came, right? We started talking across the enterprises, okay, or across the boundaries that are out there. So subsequent to that, then the cloud started happening, right? Subsequent to that, now the edge started happening. The IoT started happening, right? And now the quantum also happening. So there is an evolution path for compute. Similarly, there is an evolution path for the attackers as well, right? As they have evolved. Similarly, there is an evolution path for the cybersecurity solutions as well.
Yep.
And similarly, there was an evolution path for the mathematics as well. So 4 tracks are there. If a cybersecurity professional can follow these all 4 tracks right from the basics and just do a little bit of thinking, I think they will be able to chart out their own course around that. Okay. So that is my suggestion as far as the starting point for the students are concerned or the professionals are concerned, saying go back to the basics and start learning why this solution is required, why firewalls are required, why cryptography is required, right? Why MFA solutions are required. And then I do believe that there could actually be doing the fundamental innovation and contribution to the cybersecurity part of it. Okay. So that is number 1. Number 2, there are 2 areas to pick it up. Okay. One area is the cryptography, which is definitive, okay, and second area is basically probabilistic, which is an AI. Okay. So these are 2 distinct areas. People can pick and choose areas, and of course there is a third area for compliance where you have to meet the regulators as well, right? So 3 different tracks there and 4 different tracks into the basics part of it. If you cover all of it, I think you will be good and you will be able to even generate new ideas, or if you want to apply and if you demonstrate this knowledge, I do believe that the companies will jump on you.
That was great, Nilesh. I think you simplified the process quite a bit, even for a person like me as well. And I'm sure the professionals who are looking into this conversation, they will find it very useful as well. Nilesh, we'll conclude the discussion here. Thanks a lot. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for your time, and thanks for all the insights and inputs that you've given in a very simplified manner as well. The kind of work FortyTwo Labs is doing is really interesting, and I think you foresee the future quite a lot, and that's why you're working in the quantum safe cybersecurity space. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. Really appreciate this conversation. I really enjoyed this conversation. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be here.
It was our pleasure. Thank you.